Well, we're a few weeks away from the 2024 presidential election, and we're going to find out if either Harris or Trump is able to pull this one out. But one thing we're also going to find out is what the impact of Green Party candidate Jill Stein will be on the election. There have been a lot of people, mostly those that call themselves being left wing, who have criticized her for running and standing in the way potentially of Harris getting votes that are more left leaning and that would support her if Stein wasn't there. And the first part of this is that it's really arrogant of people that support the Democrats to assume that anyone who is backing Jill Stein would just automatically transfer to them if she was no longer in the race. Um, Speaking from personal experience, if there were no third party candidates back in 2016 or 2020, I just would not have voted for president. Um, I didn't vote for Hillary, for Biden, for Trump either of the past two times he's been on the ballot. I think they're all garbage. So if you didn't have a third party person, I would just stay home. I especially would be motivated to stay home because living in a safe blue state that the Democrats have won in every single presidential election since Dukakis screwed up back in '88. I don't have any fear about I could have made the difference. No, Harris will win California. That's already said and done, barring some miracle, which is not going to happen. Um, but what's really disgusting about this also is that you see commentators, and let me also say this: people always talk about the Republicans having a cult. While you'll never see the Democrats do something like January 6th, they have shown time and time again that between some of their voters, some of their party officials, their cult is in full force. You look at this stupid primary they had, right? You had Marianne Williamson and RFK for a brief time running against Biden, and they refused to do any debates. A lot of these cable networks, in spite of the fact that RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson were polling higher than most of the Republican candidates who they would give town halls to, they didn't give them any coverage either. People are not wrong for thinking lowly of just the Democratic machine. But the other part of this is that you have these individual commentators, right? Like not even people who are officially affiliated with the Democrats. These are just like random people online. And they will go to a channel like mine or even to other ones. I'm not even someone who is strictly against voting for Harris. I was glad that she took over for Biden because I just didn't think he would survive a second term. But they'll go to someone like me and they'll say, "Why do you care so much about Gaza? Um, get over it," or something to the effect of like, "Oh, this shouldn't be a big deal," or this, they'll try to like downplay it. And I said, if Gaza wasn't such a big deal, Democrats would not be launching attack ads against Jill Stein. They would not be sending out AOC to criticize her. They would say, "Oh, she's going to get her little 3 to 1% of the vote, and then we'll be able to coast. No big deal." But also think about this: if Gaza's no big deal, why is there such a committed group of people that are sick of a genocide? Why is that like such a main topic of this campaign where there's like a sizable chunk of the electorate that's really sick of that conflict going on? If it's such a non-factor, a non-entity, an unimportant thing. And the reality is, the reason I say these people are in a cult is because I've always thought shaming voters is one of like the stupidest things you can do if you're trying to get them to support your candidate or whatever team you're on. Trump has been doing it a lot recently, right? The whole saying that Black and Hispanic voters that don't support him need their head examined, just all types of little weird stuff. But what's crazy about these people is like if you have a politician who can't get people to vote for them, him or her, and they like to talk about people won't vote for Harris because she's a woman or because her ethnicity, all this stuff that I'm sure there's some tiny segment of people that are like that, but you're talking about a specific group of voters who are saying to you in very concrete terms, we don't support you for this reason. And you don't think, if you're a voter, why is my politician not trying to win over this group of people that we are concerned we might not be able to win if we don't have the support of? Never occurs to them. And that's why I said they are blue MAGA, because there are Democratic voters, especially a lot of the ones that frequent online, and some of these people that work within the official party structure, who believe that you owe the Democrats your vote. That if you stray from the path, I mean, they're sitting up here complaining about Trump possibly getting less than 20% of the black vote. And it's like, guys, go to those communities, ask them, why are they not supporting Harris? It's not rocket science. Just, you're not doing yourself any favor just sitting there and scolding them as if that's going to make a difference. And, I keep thinking to myself, Stein, right? They always make her seem so small. She's only going to get 2% of the vote. She's not even going to get 1,000,000 votes. She's not going to win any states. But for some reason, it really bothers them that this third party candidate, this perennial candidate, as they like to refer to her so derisively, is in the race and may very well possibly get votes that they didn't expect her to tally so much of. But also, let me say this. If Harris loses this election, and I don't know who's going to win, I said I lean towards her winning, but it's still too close to call in my view. If she loses this election, if she loses Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, the different swing states, some plethora of them. If she loses this election, there's only one person to blame, and that's her. Because Stein's supporters are some of the most transparent people with regard to why they support her. And a politician, and when I say that, I'm referring to both Harris and Trump, are not owed the support of people because of, if we don't vote for you, then the person who's even worse will get in there. I mean, just total insanity that, like, Democrats really talk about Republicans as, they're in a cult, MAGA is so evil. It's like, you guys are literally doing the exact same thing. When you have a group of disenfranchised voters who are like, hey, here's this thing that's really bothering me, you don't try to talk to them or put pressure on your candidate to possibly change their position so that they can have at least some type of verbal agreement with the people that support this issue that they're going to do something in their favor when they get elected. They just see the voters as having something wrong with them for prioritizing an issue that they don't. And how hard is it for someone who's running for president of the United States, the most powerful position in all of the world, right, as people like to claim, to tell a foreign government, this little genocide that you're doing, you can keep doing it, but I'm not giving you any more aid. I'm not selling you any more weapons. Completely disenfranchising myself from you. Just cutting all ties. Why is that so hard for the potential next U.S. president to do? And we know the reason, because AIPAC gives money to politicians and they're afraid of pissing off donors who are, let's call it what it is, more loyal to a foreign government than their own damn government and their own people, which is why at the same time as you see American politicians signing off on giving aid to Israel and to other countries like Ukraine, you can't get them to give you 1 cent for college, food stamps, rebuilding these crumbling roads, nothing. But you ask yourself, why is Harris so afraid to definitively say, hey, listen, I'm not selling any more weapons to Israel or giving them any more military aid if they keep murdering innocent Palestinians? Why is that such a difficult thing for her to do? It all has to do with not pissing off those donors. And it's more cowardice. And I can't even fully blame her because this has been an issue with politicians for a long time. Um, Trump is more sincere in terms of just, fully bootlicking for Israel, but that's what I'm saying. That when people are not given an option when it comes to voting potentially for one of the two major party candidates to actually have change on a particular issue, they're going to look for alternatives. And right now, Stein is the alternative. Now, she doesn't have to be the alternative. If Harris could, show a little bit of leadership. And, that's always the most ironic thing to me. The people running for leadership positions are actually the most cowardly among all of us. If she could show a little bit of leadership and definitively take one side or the other, maybe she could turn this around, but that won't happen. It's so interesting. Stein is a 3-time presidential candidate. No one is going to lie. I'm certainly not going to lie to you and tell you that she's going to win this election. That's not the point of this campaign. But it's so sad that there's so much animosity towards her and the voters and not the people in power. See, Democrats, right now they're posturing, right? We can't let Trump get another term. But the truth is, and this has been discussed by other people, they don't really mind all that much if Trump wins again. And this is reflected in a couple of things. The fact that they won't support ranked choice voting. The fact that they will willfully do nothing to appease the groups that are sick of them, that normally constitute their most reliable voting bloc. I mean, you see how they're sweating bullets at the prospect of not getting 90% of the black vote for the first time in, God knows how many years. So they're not too broken up about Trump possibly winning. It's just that they like to, pretend, posture, right? They know that whether he wins or not, he's good for fundraising. But in terms of actually fixing any of the issues bothering people, they're not going to do that. Neither side, and that's why these third party candidates like Stein do get support, because people are just tired of the the same old 2-party system that doesn't actually change anything. And I hope someday, I don't know what it would take, maybe more voters becoming aware of this stuff, that people just get over this party allegiance thing. Like, I could say I lean more towards the Democrats than Republicans because I do, but if the Democrats are taking a stance on an issue that I don't like, I'm going to say they're being lousy, garbage, waste of space candidates who need to be replaced or gotten rid of altogether. The Democrats were idiots for not codifying Roe v. Wade. The Democrats were idiots for backing foreign governments more than their own damn government, and caring more about people in other countries than their own people. It's not stuff that I have any problem admitting. And even if I could say the Republicans are worse, that's like who's the tallest midget. It's not a victory for me to admit that towards you. But mark my words, if Harris loses this election, you're going to see all the same pundits and some lesser commentators online. She lost because evil men in America can't stand the thought of a woman being president. And they had a problem with her complexion. And they're never going to say, wait a second, did she repeat the same mistakes as the last failed Democratic candidate? Did she not travel to swing states? Did she not meet with the groups that she saw were not supporting her? Again, Trump is getting a larger share of the black vote than other Republican presidential candidates in recent times. You don't see Harris trying to constructively address that. She has Obama wagging his finger at people, but beyond that, there's no attempt. There are a lot of voters who won't vote for either one of them, even if they lean more towards Democrats because of Harris's position on Israel-Palestine. Do you see Harris trying to carve out a constructive dialogue with these people and actually make some concessions. Like no, because they will completely risk losing these elections that they claim are so essential if it means keeping their money. Whether Harris wins or not, she's got her 5 million. She'll be all right. But are the people of Gaza going to be all right if she won or if Trump won? Probably not. Are the people who live paycheck to paycheck going to be all right? While her buddy, her 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 fellow Californian Newsom tries to kick homeless people off the streets? Probably not. Again, politics beyond the whole, my team, this team, sports analogy, it should mostly concern improving the lives of the most people. And when that's not happening, it's not something that anyone needs to waste their time with. So no one should feel forced to vote for Harris or Trump because they have a DR and R by their name. And Stein's candidacy is reflective of that.